Hello, travelers. Welcome to Reach the World. For over 20 years, Reach the World has used virtual exchange to inspire youth to become curious, confident, and compassionate global citizens. My name is Tim, and I'm glad you're joining us for today's Meet the World live stream event. The Meet the World program builds positive personal connections between students in the US and global cultures, all through direct interactions with real people who are excited to share their countries and cultures with you. For a complete listing of upcoming Meet the World live stream events, you can visit athome.reachtheworld.org. Today, we're traveling to Tunisia with Fulbright foreign language teaching assistant, Oussema Dhieb. Oussema is from Sfax, Tunisia, and he's currently teaching Arabic at Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, New York. Oussema is joining us today from Poughkeepsie to tell us more about Tunisia and Tunisian culture. Before I turn things over to our special guest, though, I want to welcome the teachers and students who are watching today's Meet the World live stream event. Please feel free to use the YouTube chat bar to let us know you're here, where you're joining from, and of course to share any questions you have for our guest as we go. We'll get to as many questions as we can in the next 30 minutes. And with that, it's time to take a journey to Tunisia. Oussema, welcome to Reach the World.
Thank you very much, Tim. It's a pleasure to be here and to be a part of this wonderful program.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today in the midst of your hectic end of school year schedule. We're excited to learn all about you and all about Tunisia, so please take it away.
Thank you. All right, so today we're going to talk about Tunisia. In particular, we're going to talk about Tunisian festivals, monuments, and weddings. But first of all, let's see where we can find Tunisia on the world map. So Tunisia is located in North Africa, right over there. It's really close to Europe. It's by the Mediterranean Sea, and that's the United States, of course. And we have so basically Tunisia is as far from the United States as Europe is. All right, now let's get into our presentation, starting with 3 beautiful Tunisian festivals. So in Tunisia, we have many festivals, and one of these festivals is the International Festival of the Sahara in Duz. This festival began in 1910. It is one of the oldest festivals in the country. It used to be called the Camel Festivals. It takes place each December in the southern desert region of Tunisia in a town called Duz, as the name indicates. It is a 4-day celebration of the traditional desert culture. The visitors get to enjoy music and dancing shows, and they get to try a variety of local dishes while watching these wonderful talent shows. So the event also includes horse races, a camel marathon, and even dog races. In short, the festival captures the spirit of the Tunisian desert better than any international festival. Moving on to the second festival, and it's the International Festival of Carthage. So the first International Festival of Carthage was held in 1964, but the event has since grown into one of Northern Africa's largest entertainment festivals. It takes place during the summer through July and August. Music is the main theme, but it also involves theater, opera, and cinema. And it also takes place in Carthage Ancient Roman Amphitheater. Many legends such as James Brown, Louis Armstrong, Ray Charles, Alpha Blondy, Charles Aznavour, Julio Iglesias, and modern artists such as Jason Derulo, One Republic, Stromae, and Diani are only a handful of legendary musicians who have performed there. All right, to the third Tunisian festival, and it's called Electronic Dunes. So This festival, which was first launched in 2014, is a 2-day techno marathon, usually in November, which is staged in the desert of Tatooine. It's also worth mentioning that it takes place in Ankh-Jmal, which is where many scenes from the saga Star Wars were filmed, and that attracts many enthusiasts. The festival attracts artists and thousands of visitors from all over the world, and it accounts for a unique experience where the traditional atmosphere of the Sahara meets modern music. To the next part of our presentation, where we're going to talk about 8 amazing Tunisian monuments on the World Heritage List of UNESCO. Starting with the Amphitheater of El Jem. Located in plain center of Tunisia, the Amphitheater of Jem bears outstanding witness of Roman architecture. As you can see, its structure is very similar to that of the Colosseum of Rome. It is around 1800 years old. The structure measures 149 meters long, 124 meters wide, and 36 meters high, and has 3 stories. It could hold up to 35,000 spectators. Up until today, it is sometimes used for music festivals. Okay, the second Tunisian monument is the archaeological site of Carthage. So Carthage is located on a hill overlooking the Mediterranean Sea, about 15 kilometers east of Tunis, the capital of Tunisia. It was founded in 814 BC by the Phoenicians. Then it was taken by the Roman Emperor Julius Caesar in 44 BC. The archaeological site of Carthage today comprises a number of different scattered locations. Overall, different components of the site are located over an area of about 5 square kilometers, which includes the ruins, a theater, and an amphitheater. To the third monument, which is Dugga. So the archaeological site of Dugga is located in the northwest region of Tunisia, perched on a summit of a hill at an altitude of 571 meters. Before the Roman annexation of Numidia, Dugga had existed for more than 6 centuries and was probably the first capital of the Numidian kingdom. These ruins of a complete city with all of its components are a testimony to more than 17 centuries of history. There are outstanding examples illustrating the synthesis between different cultures, such as the Numidian, Punic, Hellenistic, and Roman Empire. Okay, to the third monument, which is the Medina of Sus. Sus was an important commercial and military port during the Aghlabid period from 800 to 909, and it's a typical example of a town dating from the first centuries of Islam. With its Kasbah, ramparts, Buftata mosque, and typical ribat, both a fort and a religious building, Sus was part of a coastal defense system. Moving on to Kairouan. So it was founded in 670. Kairouan flourished under the Aghlabid dynasty in the 9th century. Despite the transfer of the political capital to Tunis in the 12th century, Kairouan remained the Maghreb's principal holy city. Its rich architectural heritage includes the Great Mosque with its marble and columns, and the 9th century Mosque of the Three Gates. Now let's talk about the Punic town of Kirkouan and its necropolis. Necropolis means cemetery. The ruins discovered in 1952 are those of a Phoenician town protected by double fortifications dating from the late 4th and early 3rd century. Unlike other such towns, Kirkouan was abandoned and the Romans did not build on the same site, so the port, ramparts, residential districts, shops, workshops, streets, temples, and necropolis remain as they were originally. The Medina of Tunis, as an important city and the capital of different dynasties, the Medina of Tunis bears outstanding witness to the civilizations of FLTA, essentially from the 10th century. Just a random information. Africa got its name from the word Ifriqiya, which was what the Romans called the region of North Africa early on. So The Medina of Tunis is an example of a human settlement that has conserved the integrity of its traditional fabric and architecture, such as the souk, which we can see in the photo, where many traders can sell their merch there. And last but not least, this time it's a natural monument, and it's called the Ishkal National Park. So the Ishkal Lake and wetland are a major step-over point for hundreds of thousands of migrating birds, such as ducks, geese, storks, and pink flamingos, who come to feed and nest over there. Tourists and visitors can enjoy guided tours, bird watching, traditional hammams. Hammam means a hot bath. Excursions to the douars. Douar mean like a tented camp, so you can camp there, and local villages, amongst other activities, which do not include hunting, of course. All right, to the third part of our presentation, time to talk about the Tunisian wedding. And we're going to talk about 5 traditions. So the traditions of weddings in Tunisia vary by region. Each region has its own ritual that make it unique. Although the current modernity has changed many traditions, some people remain attached to their ancestral heritage and cultural identity. Okay, so the first tradition that we're going to talk about is the hammam. Like I mentioned, hammam means a hot bath. So on this day, family and female friends go with the bride to a hammam, or a steam room, a public steam room. On the way to the hammam, the bride walks alongside her loved ones in traditional Tunisian wear, as you can see, while women sing all around her. The bride leaves the hammam looking fresh and clean. And then comes the legal signing. So signing the official legal document is the shortest part of the wedding. It lasts about 30 minutes. Females sit on one side of the venue and men on the other. Generally, people queue up to congratulate the bride and groom, saying Mabruk, which means congratulations in Arabic. I forgot to mention that Tunisian weddings can last anywhere from 7 days to 10 days. So usually each one of these events takes place on a separate day. All right, to the third tradition, which is the small henna. So if you don't know henna, it's what you can see in the photo. It's something like a dye for the hands and feet. So henna is a big deal in Tunisia. It's believed to bring good fortune to the bride. So on this day, the bride wears henna in her house. The bride's family also generally provide food for guests. Usually a nice hearty Tunisian dish, which is couscous and beef and salad, is served in a large dinner. And then comes the big henna. So we have small henna and then big henna. So this is the biggest day. It generally happens in a rented venue like a hall. This is like the bride's personal family celebration. The bride stands on center stage and carries out several traditional rituals. The bride stands on stage, and one of the traditions that she does is stepping over a fish. So they leave a fish in the center of the stage, and the bride just keeps jumping on it or stepping over it while the people sing. The bride also wears lots of jewelry and sometimes money bills. There's always a large live band playing and a dance floor for attendees. The bride may change her outfit an average of 4 times on this evening. The groom only arrives and joins the bride on stage towards the end of the night. And finally comes the final celebration. So on this day, the bride puts on her beautiful white dress at last, and she sits on a fancy sofa, again on a stage, until the groom and his family arrive around 2 hours after the event begins. The groom's entourage will announce their arrival by honking their car horns repeatedly. Also, the band starts playing a particular song when they finally arrive. So after dancing and exchanging rings, the newlyweds finally take off to the groom's house and then on to their honeymoon. And that's how the Tunisian traditional wedding takes place. So that brings an end to our presentation. Thank you all for your attention, and all questions are welcome.
Thank you so much, Oussema. Wow, what a fantastic introduction to Tunisia and some of the really rich cultural traditions from dating way back in history. For any student who is studying Romans or Phoenicians or any of these Mediterranean civilizations, it seems like they've touched in on modern day Tunisia at some point in history.
Yes, well, we were fortunate enough that many civilizations have passed on Tunisia, and each time a new civilization comes, they leave behind a richness of monuments and traditions.
Yeah, it seems to be really at the center of a lot of those historical crossroads. It sort of brings us to the topic of the Mediterranean, because Tunisia has a nice coastline in the Mediterranean, but also has desert. And it seems like those two things, it's surprising to me, and it might be to students too, that those two things exist in the same country.
Yeah, so Tunisia exists in the northern part of Africa, so it's sort of in the tropical region, and in the most northern parts of the country, you can find a lot of forests and greenery. On the coastline, you can find many beautiful beaches, but if you go deeper down the south, you'll finally end in the desert, and that desert is bordered by Libya on the right and Algeria to the left.
Okay. Have you ever visited the Medina in Tunis?
Yes, definitely. So, like I said, Tunis is the capital of Tunisia. So I've been there several times. As a matter of fact, we have a Medina in Sfax as well, which is my hometown. I didn't include it in this presentation because it's not labeled by the UNESCO yet as a protected place. But yes, I've been to several Medinas, and they all have their own uniqueness to them.
Can you just very briefly go over again what is the significance of a Medina, and maybe tell us, like, from your experience, what it feels like, what you would hear, what you would smell, what you would see as you walk through a typical Medina?
Yeah, so a Medina is an Islamic structure. It's like a super giant fort. It has a huge fence surrounding it. As soon as you walk into the Medina, you'll see that the paths are really narrow, like the houses are really close. And nowadays, the Medinas are mostly filled with stores where you can find all kinds of merch, from clothes to foods to spices. And speaking of smells, you'll mostly be smelling spices and perfumes, because there are many perfume vendors there as well. And you can also find jewelry sellers. So probably everything you can think of.
Okay, great. I'm glad you brought up Sfax, because I wanted to learn a little bit more about your hometown, and specifically what an average day would be like for you if you were in Sfax versus an average day for you now in Poughkeepsie. How are they the same? How are they different?
So Sfax is located in the middle of Tunisia. It's like between the northern and the southern half. It's called the capital of the south. It's the second largest state in Tunisia. It's mostly filled with industries and commerce. It's not a very touristic place, although we do have some touristic attractions like the Medina. Sfax is a very crowded town. we have, like I said, many industries and also many universities. So during the scholar year, students from all over the country come to Sfax, and that increases its population twice or three times. Compared to Poughkeepsie, Poughkeepsie is a rural town. It's a lot calmer than Sfax. It's less crowded. There's certainly a lot more greenery here, and that's something I really like because I love going on long walks in nature, and we don't have a lot of that in Sfax. In general, I can say that Poughkeepsie is slower than Sfax, but in a good way. It's a good place for thinking and studying.
Okay, interesting that it's two university towns, or two colleges and universities, being a big draw for both.
Yes.
We have to go back to something that you mentioned really quickly because it really caught my attention. You said that a typical Tunisian wedding lasts from 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, depending on the region. I think among the traditions that I mentioned, and there are more of them, you'll probably have to do at least 3 of them. So at least 2 big celebrations and maybe 1 or 2 familial gatherings. Sometimes they try to merge the traditions together, like they'd have 2 of them in one day. They could have the legal signing in one of the henna, like I mentioned. It's like a celebration in a venue. So yes, it depends on the region, but a traditional Tunisian wedding is really expensive and lengthy.
I'm interested, and maybe some of our students are too, in going and doing some more research about the tradition of stepping over the fish. I'm really curious to see what that symbolizes or how that tradition came about. But for our last question today, I wanted to ask you, you're finishing your year as a Fulbright foreign language teaching assistant in the United States. I hope it's been a great year for you. What are you most looking forward to when you get back to Tunisia in a month or so? Like, what's the first thing you're going to do that you've missed about your home?
I missed my family and friends so much. I'm going to meet each one of them. I also miss Tunisian food, honestly. I'm probably gonna want to try every dish I ever had in Tunisia again. Being here, I also reminded me of the pleasure I have in learning languages. So I think I'm going to try to learn Spanish when I get back home, because I've seen many Spanish speakers here in the United States, more than I thought. I also want to meet some of my teachers, because being here and teaching, I had to handle more responsibilities than I've ever had in my life, and that made me more thankful towards my teachers. So I think I'm going to meet some of them and express a little more gratitude.
All right. Well, that sounds good. I have really enjoyed learning from you today, Oussema. It's been wonderful to meet you, and I really want to thank you for joining Reach the World today and telling us more about Tunisia. Thank you also to our entire live stream audience for going on this journey with us. Reach the World will be hosting a few more Meet the World live stream events through the end of the school year, but we're almost to summer. I do want you to know you're always invited to virtually travel the world with us. So you can visit athome.reachtheworld.org for more information and for our event schedule. And until then, thank you all again. And Oussema, thank you. And we'll see everybody next time.